Joining us today is Josh Gilman from Strength to Fight, an organization dedicated to educating and equipping Canadians to battle online pornography. Check out these staggering statistics before we welcome Josh. Wow, very strong statistics. And welcome, Josh Gilman, Strength to Fight.
Thank you.
Man, it's good to see you. We got an opportunity to sit down, and life has been full for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been traveling across the country and
traveling and more kids, and yeah, life just keeps going.
But you know, that's the life of a man who is on a mission as well. You know, when you look at Strength to Fight, some of those statistics that we just saw, you know, it just kind of, it's hard to wrap your mind around all of that. And I mean, those who are aware of who you are, because you've been here before, and a friend of the 700 Club Canada know, but why did you get into this? And talk to us a little bit about Strength to Fight and that journey. How did you found that?
It came out of just seeing the need, that there was something. Me and several other friends were starting to try to speak into this issue and do little presentations here and there, and that just exploded, completely out of control. And so we said, okay, somebody's got to take this on full time, and my friends prayed about it, and God told them me. So they told me that, and then I said, well, okay, maybe I get to pray about it as well. And I was praying about it. My wife and I prayed about it. I talked to all my mentors and everyone, and the biggest thing for me, and the thing that still stays with me, like there's a bunch of reasons, but I'd say the one that I'm still here for is because I had a 6-month-old daughter, and I knew that statistically, the most common age to be exposed to pornography is about age 8. And it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. That's the age that is most common, and it can be by accident, it can be on purpose, it doesn't matter. The statistics hold up. And I just kind of looked at her, and I looked at my wife, and I said, that means I have 7.5 years to make a difference if I want her to grow up with a different type of internet. And then not just for her, like what if I'm the best dad ever, and I do a better job being a parent than anybody, and she grows up and this doesn't harm her the slightest, who's she supposed to marry? Who's she supposed to date? Who's she supposed to be in a relationship with? What type of friends is she supposed to have if nothing changes?
You know, it's so funny because when God gives a man a daughter, I mean, I think it's probably one of the most amazing things, because it turns you into a puddle of water first. And then you start instantly thinking about all of her life. And the same thing happened with me when I was, when Gabrielle came into the world. And I was just thinking about, man, I got to fight. And she pulled me into a whole lot of battles that I normally would not have engaged in had it not been for having a child. And when you start thinking about, you know, the early beginnings, because now you're 3 years into this, and there's been some peaks and valleys. What have you learned?
I've learned that the statistics are true, which is really heartbreaking. Because especially when I first started, I get up in front of a room of 100, 200, maybe 40, it doesn't matter the size of the room, often in a Christian context. And I'm looking at all these nice people, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing here? None of these people are hurt by porn. Like, I'm crazy. I'm a crazy person. Why am I here? And then afterwards, person after person after person. And then some of the people that I think maybe stormed out or looked mad or was dismissive, they're the ones who are emailing afterwards. Right? Sometimes they're the person emailing a year afterwards. And it's just heartbreaking to realize that all these statistics, they're true. And that's probably been the hardest part of it, is just confronting that heaviness, the darkness, just the sheer amount of pain. I received an email the other week from a friend that I haven't seen in 20 years, talking about how it hurt them. And it's like I get an email, and if it comes to my work email, I just kind of go, oh, you too. You didn't escape either.
You know, there's a lot of people listening right now, and they said, you know, you're talking about what's going on in my family, whether it's a husband, whether it's a wife, because the statistics show that it's not just men anymore.
Absolutely.
There's been an alarming rate and a spike in also the female.
Huge increase. Pretty much ever since the cell phone came in, and you had complete anonymity. the statistics jumped up to the point where the rates of exposure and addiction, anything that you could kind of quantify, is almost identical with women as men.
You've got a conference that's coming up. It's Strong and Free. There's a burning in your spirit, and it's going to take place in Ottawa. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, May 25th, 26th, we're going to have what I think is the largest anti-porn conference in Canada ever. It'll be 2 days. We're having 10 speakers in, and we're talking like these are the best.
Yeah.
We went up, that if we're going to do it, we need to do this. And it just came out of, I was at one event, and I heard this guy speaking, one of the people who's going to kick off the conference, Brett Altman, and I just thought, I need to do whatever it takes to make sure as many people can hear this as possible. Okay. We're going to have, you're going to be sharing a testimony a bit later that you teased, right? This model student, she's going to be at the conference, sharing her story. It's so powerful. And we're going to come at it from every type of angle, because it affects everything, right? From society to marriages to children to our spiritual lives. And so we're going to say, all right, we got to look at the problem. We're going to have people saying, how do we even get here in the first place? It's like if you need a diagnosis, they look at your medical history and go, we need to know what's actually going on. We're going to do that with this issue. We're going to start at the beginning, say, where did this all come from? How did we get to where this is such a big deal in every aspect? And then what are we going to do? We're not just interested in saying, it's great if you get a diagnosis. It's better to know what to do about it.
That's a good point. There's someone listening right now. Where do we start with this? Because it seems like such a big issue. Whether it's our children going through it, whether it's our spouse or something else, where do we start with that?
We just need to start by talking, by being willing to be honest, by understanding we can actually open up to people. And I mean...
And get beyond the shame.
To get beyond the shame, to realize that everybody's going through something. Right before we started this, you asked the entire crew how they were doing. And the remarkable part about that isn't that you asked. The thing that struck me is that they answered. We need to be able to be willing to get to the point where we say, like, what's the worst that can happen if I tell someone that I'm going through something, that something tough is going on, and that maybe they won't understand. So, like, what's going to happen? What's the worst that can happen? And to get past that fear, and to just understand, and that's why I was kind of actually taken aback by the whole interaction that you had, because you actually were being honest about what was going on in your life, and so someone else can come alongside you and talk. And they don't even have to identify exactly with your specific pain. They just need to be able to identify with what you're trying to go in life. And when we're able to talk, that's where we find freedom.
I find as a pastor, and what you're talking about, because we pray before we come on, before we talk to you, and it's important that we understand that we're not immune from all these things as well. We have to go through it just as much. But we know the secret to that is Jesus Christ is able to fix every issue, and nothing is impossible with God. We realize that. Josh, You've got a lot of things to share. How could we get more information on this, and where could we plug in with you?
You could check out all our information, all the resources, any help we could possibly offer. It's strengthtofight.ca. You'll also find all the links to the conference that's coming up. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable in terms of gathering, again, not just people who have information, but people who have answers. Like, if you have questions, if you think that there's a question that has the word pornography in it, you're going to find the answer because it's actually out there.
Well, man, you know what? I cheer you on. I know there's been some rough battles, but the best is yet to come, and it is definitely needed. Strong and Free is coming up. May what?
25th, 26th in Ottawa.
In Ottawa. Thank you, Josh. Look forward to seeing you again.